Online reviews can make or break a business. Want to know how? Stay tuned as we talk to James from Sitejabber, a veteran in the tech industry.
He said if you report this to the police, I'll have your family killed.
James, tell us a bit more about your expertise and your experience with Sitejabber.
Sure, happy to. So I'm a 30-year veteran of technology. I started off in the enterprise sales and corporate business development. From there, I moved on to sales management and general management roles. And since 2016, I've been focused primarily on marketing leadership, including partnerships. With Sitejabber, I joined Sitejabber about 2 years now, and Sitejabber has been around since 2007, so quite early in the review space. And it started off with, in its early days, received a grant from the National Science Foundation. And the reason for that is because our heart was in consumer protection and still is. And since then, we've become an official Google Reviews partner, and that's helped us quite a bit. And we also have a platform that helps on the business side, helps them to get notified of reviews, reply to reviews, and just overall manage their reputation. So we address both sides of it, both the consumer side and the business side.
Okay, so what do you think has changed in the trends of online reviews?
No, it's not like the old days you see in old TV shows and movies where people are just buying whatever a company says based on their advertisement. There's increasing skepticism about advertising, about messaging in general. People are getting to be smarter consumers. And by the way, when I talk about consumers, I'm talking about both B2C consumers as well as B2B buyers. They're both getting increasingly sophisticated because there's a lot more information out there for them. And so along with that increasing awareness, we'll call it, sometimes bleeding into distrust, comes an increasing reliance on the opinions of other buyers. And related to that, the form that prospective buyers prefer to consume information is also rapidly changing. It used to be obviously text and image-based, but it's changing now strongly to video and particularly short-form video. Why? Because people want to see the environment, right? They're going to go to a restaurant. They're going to buy a pair of shoes. They want to see the person who's talking to them, see how how trustworthy they are, and then also see maybe the products, see the service, whatever it may be. So it's a very rapidly changing space.
All right, what's the aim of online reviews and what can they provide to people or businesses nowadays?
Sure. As you know, I think it really falls into two categories. One is we're just talking about informed prospective buyers of a product or service or company reputation. But also is, and I know this is near and dear to PissedConsumer's heart, is give purchasers an opportunity to vent their opinions, vent their feelings, right, both positive and negative. So providing to the company, so the company hears, and they can ideally resolve a situation or improve their product or service, or maybe sort of an attaboy, like, hey, good job. Like give somebody internally a recognition for having done wonderful customer service. And the other end of that is so that their opinions can be heard by other consumers. It could be a warning, like watch out, stay away from this product or company, or it could be, you know what, I love this family business down the block from me, and they're having financial trouble, and let's support them. I would see both of this countless times.
What do you think companies notice more, positive or negative reviews?
I think they both have a place to in and online reputation. Companies oftentimes make a mistake of thinking that, it should be all 5-star reviews. That's actually a bad sign, right? When we see 5-star reviews consistently, no negative, is that the real world? It's not. And so people tend to discount those companies and the reviews associated with them. They really want a balanced view. So they want a balanced view overall in terms of, they expect that there are going to be some people who are happy, some people are indifferent, some people that are, unhappy. And even within the individual review, they expect some relative balance. So companies may, and certainly it's right to strive for high rating, a high overall review rating, but they need to understand that negative reviews are part of the equation. Negative reviews also help internally. I've seen repeatedly senior management at very notable companies who are interested in reviews, not simply to promote the product or service, but to ingest that and say, how can I use this to improve my operations, to improve my product or services? So they really need a mix of both, and that's the real world.
So, how can you identify a scam when looking at online reviews that are either entirely 5-star or entirely negative?
Those scams are the bane of the industry, right? They've killed companies before, and by companies I mean review sites, because that's the lifeblood, right? If we are here to deliver honest reviews, and if there are negative reviews that are coming in, that is hurting the platform, and that's hurting consumers, and in the end, it's hurting businesses because then they don't have that avenue. There are a number of ways to spot them. As we talked about earlier, you're seeing a lot of just glowing, unduly positive reviews, ones that look professionally written, AI, whether it's AI or some other writer, that because most people are not wizards at copy, right? They're not copywriters, and so that's another very at least within the industry, that's an easy one to spot. And then again, you can just see if there's a good distribution of reviews. There really needs to be a distribution. And one of the spaces that comes to mind is the home repair space, right? There have been companies, review platforms that have come and gone, and they're still here, but they're sort of like dead man walking. And why is that? Because these review scams took over the space, and consumers lost confidence because they saw that the reviews were being gamed, and so I think looking at the reviews themselves, it tends to be fairly obvious when it in volume, in bulk, whether you see the inaccurate distribution or unrealistic distribution, and within individual reviews, if they're look like they're written by a Hollywood screenwriter.
So, is it better to consider reviews where companies respond to feedback, comparing cases where positive reviews lack responses to those where companies actively engage with negative reviews?
Well, ideally, the company should respond to both. It's certainly more important for them to respond to negative reviews, but it's not just responding, right? It needs to be done the right way in order to demonstrate that they're responsive and that they're caring, that they actually care about the opinion. So how to be responsive? Well, actually, to respond and to respond in a timely fashion. But also not to do a cookie cutter response. You want to read what the person said and really ingest it. If it's something that the company feels can be fixed, then you ask them take it offline and try to resolve it. Have them contact customer service and see what the real issue is. So, and that's what people like to see. Other buyers, they want to see that the company actually cares, because guess what? They know that there's a chance that they will be in that position, and they also are realistic. Not always are you happy. Maybe the size wasn't exactly what you look for. Maybe there was some other failing. But to see that the company is trying, at least making a good faith effort to fix the situation, gives them a greater confidence level in moving forward with a purchase.
James, what do you think about negative reviews? How do they impact business, and do they have any impact at all right now?
Yeah, there's no question. Negative reviews can have a very serious impact on a business. There's a lot of good there are a lot of good stats out there about that. So one of the a couple of more well-known ones, I think one's by Bright Local. 98% of people read reviews. Almost half of them trust online review as much as a personal recommendation. So over 80% by Edelman say that buyers have to trust your brand in order to buy from you, right? It's just common sense. And almost 3/4 of consumers will trust a company more if their reviews are positive. I think positive in the overall sense, and I think that's another Bright Local. In the B2B space, G2 had a stat that talked about over 90% will B2B buyers will consult a trusted review, a reliable review, before selecting a product or service for their business. Right? Again, we're the days of sort of Wonder Bread, run faster, jump higher. Those are long gone. Those are in the history books. People have been burned. They've seen other people burned with purchases of product and services, and so they insist on being informed consumers. And if the business is not managing their online reputation, it's a miss.
Okay, so what do you think about the business practice where companies threaten consumers to remove or delete negative reviews?
In a word, foolish. It tends to not take place at larger companies, although there are examples of well-funded, prominent company leaders making some very serious mistakes in this regard. The emotional aspect sometimes overwhelms people, right? Their protective instincts come out. This is my baby, it's my company, it's my product, and they forget about that people are watching, right? The world is watching online, and so and and that's, I think, an extreme example where you're threatening. You're risking your business at that point when you're doing something like that. And so it's very, very detrimental to a company's reputation. And it just, anything that's not a measured response, professional response, it's a no-go. And people, just like in email, right? They're all saying before you send an angry email, sit on it overnight. So I think this might be a good rule of thumb to apply for review responses as well.
James, let's discuss the importance of review platforms, which are truly invaluable.
Sure. Long before I joined Sitejabber, I was a very active consumer, and I fought for my rights, and I voiced my opinions on multiple platforms to do the things that we talked about earlier, to express to the company my either dissatisfaction or sometimes elation, just recognizing people and products or services. Um, so you know, it's very important. It's a wonderful outlet for sharing information with the public, other buyers, prospective buyers, and with the company leadership. Um, and on the other end, when we're looking to make purchases, this is what we do nowadays, right? For some time, we're not going to buy into. We'll get information from the company and be intrigued, but we want a third opinion. Right? We want to. It's like going to a doctor, right? A major surgeon. Maybe I'll get a second opinion. I guess a second and third, fourth opinion. I think they're very important from both perspectives of providing information and obtaining information to make good buying decisions that aren't swayed by a seller's messaging.
James, what key advice would you offer to consumers who rely on reviews, both those who read them and those who write them?
Well, I would say for buyers, prospective buyers, continue to educate yourselves and don't buy into the hype, whether it's the company, whether it's an influencer. Uh, don't necessarily go with the crowd. Make purchases that are in line with your financial realities, right? And not the Instagram version of the world, but your actual world, your individual and family needs, and in the long term, yeah. And then not just what'll satiate your desire for today, but what's going to happen next year, 5 years, 10 years in retirement. You have to think of the long term. And so I would say, in short, be discerning. And for people who are leaving reviews, uh, don't, similar to as we said for companies, don't let your emotions hold sway. Right? Uh, Take a breath. Leave a balanced review. What was positive? What was negative? Because if your intention is to get the word out, you'll be more believable and provide more value when you provide a balanced view of your product or service experience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just leave your
it's
emotions aside.
hard to do, but you want to what we call it, take a sober approach to leaving a review, meaning calm, collected, balanced.
James, what do you think about how consumers can effectively use online reviews to engage with companies? Are there any tips you can share on how they might do this more quickly and efficiently?
Well, yeah, I have a couple of recommendations there. I would say both for the company and for other people who want information about the company product or services. One, right, this is, in this case, you do want to try to be a Hollywood writer a bit, or get that creative part out of you, is write a good headline, right? Get a headline that will draw attention. And I'll tell you an example of one I've used. I don't know if it was a headline, but it was one of the starters, like "Run, don't walk away from this business," that sort of thing. So something snappy to get people's attention. It could be something about yourself, like, "Hey, I'm a new mom, and this is what happened to me." Like, so that people say, "Oh, okay, that's me. I resonate to that. I fit that profile. I'm more likely to read it." So, well, one of those things. Uh, Photos, especially videos, they help validate that, hey, this person isn't just, for example, a competitor who may be writing a negative review, which, well, that's also a challenge when we talk about fake reviews, particularly on the local end of things. But you're showing that, hey, you really bought the product, and it's the issue that you're talking about, you're writing about, exists, because you're showing it in the image of it, a photo or video. That'll get attention from both the businesses and consumers. And as I talked before, balanced reviews. I think those are key elements. The last thing I would say is, if you're able to, write like you are telling a story, right? You have your next door neighbor, you have your significant other, and you're sitting down to, you never believe what happened to me. Like this wonderful experience, this waiter, this chef went out of their way, whatever it was, again, positive or negative, but really do it in narrative storytelling form rather than sort of disjointed sort of rants. That tends to be more attractive and more easily digestible from a reader's point of view.
Thank you very much for those tips, James.
Oh, my pleasure.
That's all the questions I have for you today. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't. I want to reiterate. I'm a big fan of PissedConsumer. I've started in the early 2010s. I've been writing reviews, so I can probably dig them up for you, and I let some companies have it. But it's, we all need those outlets, and both as people who already purchased and people who are looking to purchase. So I think we play a very important role, and the more we can work together to help both consumers and educate consumers and educate businesses, I think the better.
We've covered the importance of balanced reviews, the rise of video content, and the need for genuine company responses. For our viewers, make sure to leave thoughtful reviews and do your research. If you found this interview helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe, and see you next time.